is it's a political targeting mechanism. Uh, we have instances. Ron Paul happens to be sponsoring House Bill 6416, which is uh, aimed basically at declawing the TSA. And as a consequence of that, we have a Ron Paul supporter with Ron Paul bumper stickers and money from the Ron Paul war chest in his possession, basically brutalized by the TSA when they saw those bumper stickers. And there's things on YouTube about that just make me quiver with anger. I mean, you see stuff like that, be angry and do something about it. Pick up the phone and call somebody and lodge a complaint.
I think,
and if it happens to you, start talking lawyers.
Absolutely. It seems like we're kind of put into situations where we're not supposed. We don't get mad about the right things. We get all up in arms about my football team lost.
Yeah, well, and the stuff that goes on at work, maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, if I went to the airport and I walked up to that machine, this is my response. I say, "I'm sorry, I am not going to go through your little radiation machine and let you look at me naked, and I'm not going to let you pat me down. You can't do either one of those unless you can quote to me the law that says I must submit. I am a free citizen of the United States. The Constitution guarantees me certain rights. You tell me what law takes away those rights, and then maybe I'll consider it, or I'll walk out the door. But you're not touching me, and you're not peeking at me."
Well, and then they will try and follow you out the door with fines and all of these other sort of just extortion rackets.
A fine you do not have to pay.
And I think they're going to have a hard time enforcing on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go to court, fine, we'll file a countersuit.
Well, we're starting to run out of time here, and
I'm afraid, yeah.
I wanted to discuss, so we'll switch gears again here. I wanted to kind of discuss the social network phenomenon and how that relates to, our quote-unquote privacy, that again, in a sort of Brave New World scenario, we're all willingly giving up mass amounts of information.
Yes, it's a real problem. The problem is going to get worse. If they do the things that they're planning on doing on the internet, we might as well just give it up altogether. But right now, if you're a member of Facebook and those kinds of social networks, you're really wanting to be a little careful about what you put out. I would not. People do use, for example, Facebook to reach me. I have about 1,000 friends right now, and I've only been doing it for, maybe a month or two. So I'm very excited about that, but I'll have people who will send me messages using Facebook, which they should not be sending me that kind of details. I always put in my message to them, contact me at, and I give my email address to talk about that. But they don't really quite realize that the people who are involved in Facebook have associations with people who are involved in the intelligence community.
Yep.
They are friends, and they have been caught already with their hands in the cookie jar, so to speak, in sharing information with the intelligence community. And this kind of thing is going to get worse and worse and worse. Listen, if I was going to be elected president, the very first thing I would do is overturn every single presidential executive order. That would end the FBI, CIA, DIA, DOD, well, sorry, not the DIA. Wouldn't necessarily end them because the Congress established them, but they report to the president. And executive orders basically empower them and gave them certain mandates, let's call it. I would repeal all those and we would start over. But right now, the way things stand, we are owned by them. We are state property. And that's the way they look at us.
Sorry, leave me speechless there for a moment. I did want to mention, and of course we've reported it time and time again on the show, the intelligence connections in the form of InQtel, the investment arm of the CIA.
I've got a good one about that. InQtel, when I first realized through a little press release blurb, because I was at that time looking for venture capitalist money, and so I just ran across this. I noticed that they didn't have the website domains registered. So I registered them. They had to change their company name. They wouldn't talk to me.
They were done with you at that point.
Yeah, I would have sold it to them, but
for a reasonable price.
I'd already put out my book, and they were already mad at me. So that was my little stab back at them.
I guess the one main thing we would say is for folks to just be wary about the information they put online. Very simply.
Yes, and you know, by all means participate. You know, people. The other argument or aspect of that is people say, "Well, I don't want to be associated with protests because I'll be targeted." Absolutely, it's a risk, but it's not a risk if everyone does it. A list of names to be targeted is only useful if there's a small number of names on that list. They only have so many bodies and so many tools they can throw at us. If everybody's on the list is meaningless. So I would encourage you to participate. Just be careful of your words. Not like me.
And we know time and time again on this show and also other appearances and some of our other friends in the alternative media is that we want to use all of these tools and bells and whistles and tweets and, you know, all of these little things while we can, while the internet is functioning as it currently is, to share a lot of this information. Because I think we have seen positive changes due to just people becoming aware of something. I think the case of BPA being discovered in all of our plastics and bottles. Massive outcry, and the companies responded by quickly taking it off the shelves. And I think it shows that an informed group of people can actually affect change.
Yes, especially if you can tie it to the bottom line. I mean, boycotts can
absolutely
work wonders. Protests can be useful, you know, outside of people. I mean, I would one of my little pet peeves is Milwaukee's speed trap. If you've ever driven down McLaughlin Boulevard, do watch out for Milwaukee. It is an absolute speed trap. They write 500 tickets a day, $300 tickets, and
that's the another just extortion angle.
It is. It's another form of extortion. And in any event, we're funding Fat Cats, Crooked Judge, and crooked other people. So, what I would love to do is have a slow down day. You know, everybody stops and honks their horns and waves their banners and basically hit the commerce of the city. Is the way I would do that. But that kind of a protest can be very effective when you're talking about a corporation. So if there's there's always a corporation involved somewhere.
There was a great Onion radio bit just a couple of days ago that was like, corporation announces it's reached its goal and disbanded.
Yeah.
Because we know that was the original chart, that corporations were to be chartered for a select explicit amount of work and they would disband when that was done. But now they're people and they live forever.
They live forever. Yeah, that would take away corporate personhood.
Yeah, ending corporate personhood and growing hemp, I think, are two amazing, relatively simple ways, I think, to kind of change the world. Any other kind of quick advice for folks? You know,
I might finish with a bit of a plug.
Please,
if
yes.
you feel you're a targeted individual, definitely contact me. Use proparanoid@comcast.net for that. Please visit my website and look at my books. Send me money.
That's, I think, what it comes to more and more is asking.
I want to be a corporation that people protest outside my house. I would like to be able to pay my rent. I've already lost my house in the mortgage crunch and declared bankruptcy once. So.
And these are the things that again we're being pushed. But as many other folks have said, that we need to incite a revelation and not a revolution. They want an armed revolution because that gives them the excuse to crack down on us.
And I have that arm, and it's raised, and it's got a fist. That's my armed revolution.
H. Michael Sweeney, security expert and author. I know him as Harry Sweeney. That is difficult. ProParanoidPress.com is the way to get in contact, and you and I are both on Facebook. We're both virtual friends there, so folks can find us there. And again, a lot of these things that we mention and some of the contact points and reference points will include in the show notes. But lastly, actually, I only briefly mentioned as we were transitioning into bringing you in the studio, Armageddon Machine was the music that we played to bring it into that. Can you just quickly discuss that? Because that's, of course, very germane to Media Monarchy.
Well, I actually have a whole album of politically incorrect music called Alice in America Land with a K, and that is to fund the Free Will Society. Any donation of any sum reasonable to cover the postage, and you'll get that CD. I have a nice T-shirt, which you can't see, that has the logo. There is a music video on YouTube of the same title. And in fact, a lot of my songs are in music form, music video form.
And what is your YouTube channel name?
Pro Paranoid, naturally.
Okay. See, that's the way. You got to be consistent with things and make it as easy as possible for folks to find you on all the different.
I'm a major corporation.
Well, again, man, I really appreciate you coming into the studio, and I hope folks got pieces that whet their appetite to go investigate smart dust and MEMS and targeted individuals and all of these things.
And I thank you very much for having me on, James.
Man, I appreciate it so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'll do, Harry, is I'll take the good mic back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there we are back on the God mic. Oh, it sounds so good to be back on that. As we come to the close of this amazing 196th episode of Media Monarchy, again, my name is James Evan Pilato. I'm your host and webmaster of the site and show, MediaMonarchy.com, your source for alternative news, politics, conspiracies, and cover-ups. It was another Black Friday, and again, so much more alternative media yet to come. The return next week of NewWorldNextWeek.com, my weekly video series with James Corbett. So many more things that, again, can only grow with your support. Like I said, that sometimes takes the form of dirty money. So, again, we implore your donations to help keep Media Monarchy going. And we will weather this storm that, again, just as our guest, Harry Sweeney, said, it'll be with a raised fist that says no. As always, my friends, we remind you at the end of each episode, don't hate the media, become the media. Take care.
MediaMonarchy.com is your source for alternative news, politics, conspiracies and cover-ups. Featuring weekly radio shows on the Portland Radio Authority, PRAradio.org, the New World Next Week video series with CorbettReport.com, plus special interview episodes, B-sides, mixtapes and so much more. Send news tips to MediaMonarchy@gmail.com. You can make a donation, or mail media to the Monarchy, at P.O. Box 12165, Portland, Oregon 97212. Thanks to all the internet and community radio stations who broadcast these shows, and most of all, thanks to you. Remember, don't hate the media, become the media.
Whether he went on with the diary, or whether he did not go on with it, made no difference. The thought police would get him just the same.
Go, shorty, shorty, go, shorty, shorty, go.